Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to discuss about the different compute services offered in GCP. So let's start. The most basic compute service offered in Google Cloud Platform is the Compute Engine. Here, we actually create a VM in the GCP console. So basically, you can go ahead and provision your own virtual machine of any disk or of any size with any version, whether it can be a Windows or a Linux server. And you can also actually pick up the CPU and the GPU, whether you require GPU or not. Apart from that, you also have the option to use a persistent disk if you want to actually retain the data. You can actually customize the compute engine with your own shell scripts. So let's say, for example, if you have actually provisioned a compute engine and you actually want some of the customizations on top of that compute engine, so basically you can have your own custom scripts on top of the compute engine services. Now, your virtual machine can be preemptible virtual machine as well. Now, what does this preemptible virtual machine actually means? It means that you can actually reduce the cost that you incur when you are provisioning a virtual machine by using a preemptible virtual machine. So basically, preemptible VMs are the ones which are currently not used in a particular region or in a particular availability zone. Okay, we'll discuss in depth for this preemptible VMs, but yeah, just keep it in mind that the preemptible virtual machines actually help you reduce the cost. They are available on the fly. In case if VMs are not utilized in a particular region or an availability zone, you can actually go ahead and use it. But the availability of these preemptible VMs are based on certain conditions. So, yep. And apart from that, when you use a compute engine services, you have the flexibility to scale up or scale down the compute services. So basically, when you are using a cluster, you can actually scale up or scale down the cluster based on your needs. Okay. The next compute service that we are going to discuss is the Google Kubernetes Engine. Now, the Kubernetes Engine on GCP, it's an open source orchestrator for the Docker containers in GCP. Okay, so Kubernetes is actually an open source orchestrator. Okay, and GCP actually utilizes this Kubernetes service as GKE in the GCP console. Okay, now it offers an API to control the operations. Basically, there are a set of APIs which are open source that the user can utilize to control the operations that they want to perform on the container services. Now, GKE clusters can also be customized with the specific type of node and the specific configuration of that particular node and the application that they want to run in the GKE cluster. Okay, now GCP also offers you an auto upgrade and an auto scaling feature on the for this containerized application. So now what auto upgrade and auto scaling means is that you can have your own version control mechanism for the applications that are deployed. They can be auto scaled and they can be and there is an auto node repair function also available for all the nodes that are actually running for this GKE. Okay. Now, apart from that, we have a replication process as well, where along multiple zones, so that your application, in case of a disaster, has some set of copies available for recovery. So this is more or less comes in line with the disaster recovery process. But yeah. So this GKE engine is actually an orchestrator for the containerized applications used in the GCP. The next compute service that we are going to discuss is the App Engine. Now, GCP actually offers App Engine as a serverless platform that can be used in the GCP services. Okay, so it's a fully managed serverless. So remember that serverless is just a term that we actually use, but under the hood, there are actually servers running. The only difference is that user is not responsible to actually manage these servers. The complete management of the server is on the cloud service provider, or here in our case, it's the Google Cloud. Okay. Now, applications on these app engines can be scaled as per the need. Let's say if your application needs more resources, the app engine automatically scales to provide the number of resources which is required to run this application. Okay. Apart from that, since it's serverless, now GCP already provides a variety of programming languages so that like the user can go ahead and choose the type or the programming language that the person is actually comfortable working in. And last but not the least is the custom Docker container, which can be provided at the runtime. Let's say if you want to use this App Engine services with Docker containers, so you get the flexibility of all the features of an App Engine, okay, and your container actually runs in a serverless fashion. So App Engine is basically one of the offering that is actually provided by GCP for the serverless platform. The next compute service that we are discussing is the Cloud Function. Now, Cloud Function is again a serverless platform which is actually offered on GCP. So how is it different from our App Engine services? So the rule of thumb says that like when you have a short driven application, let's say if your application needs to only run for 60 seconds or something like that, then you can actually go ahead and provision the cloud functions. But in case if your application is a bit long running, in that case, the more suitable approach will be to use an app engine. Okay. So apart from that, when you are using cloud function, they can actually respond to a particular event that is happening. Now, events can be, let's say there are few changes or there are few files which are landing on cloud storage or the cloud pub sub model, or it can also get triggered when from an HTTP call. And the cloud functions are basically short driven. So they live only for a small duration of time. Apart from that, you only pay when the function runs. At the idle time, you are actually not paying anything for the cloud functions. Only when the function is actually triggered based on any of the event that you have listed here, you pay only for that amount of time. So these are some of the major compute services that we have in GCP. In the upcoming sessions, we'll be covering each and every section in depth. Make sure that you leave your questions in the comment box and I'll try to answer your queries. Till then, take care. Thank you, everyone.